I'd like to start by welcoming everyone. Good evening and welcome to the 2022 Keene State Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My name is Phil Rassicott. I am the Director of Athletics here at Keene State, and this is, without a doubt, a special evening, and for a very special and select group, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, achievement. I'm honored to be part of the celebration with our newest class of both Keene State College and Little East Conference Hall of Fame members, as we are joined today, obviously, by distinguished presenters, friends, family, coaches, staff, and members of our administration. So, as much as I enjoyed last year's outdoor event, it's really nice to be back here in the friendly confines of the Mabel Brown Room, and it's slightly warmer in here. So, while we are still, obviously dealing with the effects of the pandemic, we have certainly come a long way in a year, and that is no more evident than what is happening here on our campus. At this time, I would like to introduce the person who has done such an amazing job leading this campus through such a difficult period of time. Please welcome Dr. Melinda Treadwell, President of Keene State College.
Okay, I have to find my remarks. There are about 30 pages up here. I'm so sorry, just one sec. Oh, there it is. It's the one that says Melinda, welcome, in big sticker. So, good evening, welcome. It is truly my honor, the Alumni Hall of Fame, the induction of our athletes who have excelled and who have represented our institution so remarkably throughout their athletic careers. This is one of the most important evenings for Keene State, and it's one of my favorites, specifically because it was the playing of college basketball here at Keene State College that changed my life. My coaches, our athletic training staff, my teammates, the lifelong connections that I made as a student athlete here at Keene State College have stayed with me, have shaped my career, and have made me a better person. And it is truly humbling to be in this room with individuals who are being inducted into our Hall of Fame this evening. So it is my privilege to be here and to welcome you, not only for our student athletes, our coaching and training staff, and our colleagues in the Little East Conference. Associate Commissioner Daryl Kanicki, if you can wave, Daryl, is here representing the Little East Conference tonight. Thank you, Daryl. And to our inductees, some of whom you'll see me again later, being able to hopefully embarrass a very dear friend a little bit later on this evening. But with your families, with your loved ones, having the opportunity to share this evening with so many talented people, it's truly my honor. So what I would like to say first and foremost is Andrea Vickers-Sivert, I've now lost you. There you are. Thank you for your work, the team of our advancement team, our dining services team, our event staff. We could not do this without you and the vision that you brought. And thank you, Abe Oshiak, for your camera up there running. I saw you scooting past that. It is wonderful to be inside with no wind and no generator growling that's going on that we did last year. The one thing I'm going to say, if anyone surprising comes to the podium tonight, remember that I have a hockey game that I'm supposed to get to as well this evening. So if it's going long, I will have to scoot up and go out. Ron, wherever you are. Where is Ron Butcher? There you are, right in the spotlight over there. Thank you all for being here. It is truly my honor to stand here with all of you, and it is my true privilege to serve this institution as her president. So thank you. Have a wonderful evening, and it is my privilege to welcome Veronica Rosa, our Vice President for Advancement, who helped lead this evening's launch. So, Veronica.
They put a little stool out for those of us that are vertically challenged, so thank you for that. I have trouble seeing over the podium. So I'm Veronica Rosa, I'm Vice President of Advancement, and I have been at Keene State over 4 years now, and it has been a wonderful and incredible adventure, and a lot has gone on in the last 4 years, as you can imagine. And although I'm not an alumnus of Keene State College, I feel like a piece of my heart is here because my grandmother is a double alum. She graduated in 1933 and then again in 1968 with her master's. And if my grandmother was here today, the first thing she would say is how tickled pink she is that Keene State is doing such amazing things under the watch of President Melinda Treadwell. So I am privileged to be here and so grateful. I also feel very, very proud to be working with so many amazing campus partners, as President Treadwell shared. But athletics, Chartwell's Food Services, the Student Center, campus safety, and many more, they all make these events possible by being willing to partner with us, and we are so grateful. I'm also incredibly grateful to Andrea Vickers-Sivrit, who's a class of 2001 alum. As many of you know, our Director of Alumni Relations left in June for an outstanding opportunity, and we are so proud that she found somewhere else to go to and expand her career. And I didn't panic when she said she was going to be moving on. I didn't panic, but what I did do is I ran to Andrea Vickers-Sivrit and I groveled a little and I begged a little. She'd been on our team for almost 5 years, and I said, please, 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 instead of being at a part-time capacity, would you join us as a full-time member of our team and as Director of Alumni Relations? And thank God, Andrea said yes. We didn't skip a beat on homecoming. We didn't skip a beat on any of our events, including the golf tournament. So I am so grateful that Andrea is here. She's a wonderful full-time addition to our team, and I feel fortunate every day to have the privilege of working with her. So Andrea, welcome.
I'm going to take my heels off so I don't fall off of the step stool. My name's Andrea Vickers-Sivrit, class of '01. I'm the interim director of Alumni Relations. On behalf of the Alumni Association, I'd like to congratulate all of our inductees. I'd like to start by saying thank you to Assistant Athletic Director Abe Oshiak, who I've been working with since I started and is integral in the planning of this and communicating with all of you. Catering staff, Kirsten Vidovich and Chef Jacob, are extremely short-staffed and have pulled out all of the stops to make sure that we're accommodating everybody tonight. So I think we should just stop and give them a round of applause because they worked so hard. Thank you. Wade Newer and Trinity Nay. Trinity's in the back with the tech. They are extremely flexible, easy campus partners to work with, and I'm so thankful to have you. As I said, I'm the class of '01. I also participated in athletics. I did track and cheerleading, which is a sport. Why are you laughing? After dinner, each of you will have remarks given about you as individuals. I would like to take this opportunity to address you as a whole group to recognize your importance in Keene State history and the commonalities that you each share. As alumni, your history at Keene State begins the moment that you step on Appian Way, and it never ends. You're alums longer than you are students. So take a moment. So as being inducted, it is a moment in history, and that's one of the reasons that I love being the alumni director so much, is that I love the history of Keene State. And these events, these moments, I get to meet individuals that are part of our history. And you may not get that when you're first inducted, but forever you will be on the walls of Spalding and in the history books as a Hall of Fame inductee. So just take a second to recognize the scope of that and how remarkable it is. Before I get to the meat of my remarks, I'd like to be transparent that I have a favorite tonight. Crystal's laughing. Dave Westover. Sorry. I've known Dave my entire life, as long as I can remember. I mean, I didn't know him when I was born, but we are Walpolians and proud. I grew up with his boys, and Dave pulled me into coaching middle school track when I was a college student here and started my coaching career, but it stopped shortly thereafter. Dave, it has been a fixture in the community, and I have learned from his example
for dedication and commitment to those other than yourself and the better of the community, including Keene State College. As a 20-something-year-old college student, that's a lot to see, and the passion that Dave had from the very beginning. So, sorry, but he's my favorite. Despite my excitement for Dave being inducted into the Hall of Fame, which I knew before he did and had a very hard time hiding invitations and making sure that he didn't know, I really did not want to speak tonight because it's not something I love. Veronica was disappointed but was ready to give me a pass, and I was ready to take it. But as I was driving into work one day, I was reminded of a motto that was for a 5K that I had planned recently for a dear friend that I lost a year ago. The theme of the race was Run to Win, and it's actually a race that Heidi Westover won in the women's department. She doesn't like being called out, but she's remarkable in herself. Run to Win is a passage from 1 Corinthians 9:24, and it says, "Do you not know that in a race that all runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it." I realized then that I wasn't running to win and that I needed to say the remarks. As an alum, it meant more to give remarks than it would be from Veronica, and as a student athlete as well. And then I realized the commonality that you all have. As athletes, you have natural born talents. That talent alone is not what brought you here tonight. As an athlete at this level, it's that desire to run to win that's why you're here. Most likely, this is a trait that goes beyond the soccer field or the turf field. It's probably something that is shown in multiple parts of your life, that you do everything to win, no matter how many people are in the race. It's a common trait that I see among many Keene State alums. Grit, drive, that fire in your belly that will and has propelled you to success. While none of you are here because of how fast you run, sorry, Dave, you all run to win. Tonight is a recognition of that motivation. Katie, Nichole, Lauren, Dave, Drew, Jason, and Matt, congratulations. Before I welcome you to be ushered by Kristen Vidovich to the buffet, I would like to ask that you give extra patience to our catering staff. They have had a significant staffing shortage. They have worked really hard to make that happen, and we really appreciate it. So give grace, give patience. We will all be fed, I promise. So thank you very much, and congratulations.
I pledge
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Our campus can be pretty quiet during the summer, but we're still here to show you what your life at Keene State will be like. I'm Emma, a tour guide in the admissions office, and I'm here to answer your questions and show you the parts of our community you're interested in seeing most. You can book a tour at keene.edu/visit or reach out to any of our admissions staff to find out when you can come see our home. Here's a sneak peek at what a tour is like.
So when I ask students, why Keene State, the students say unanimously it's the sense of community. The feel when you walk on this campus is immediately a sense of belonging, a sense of safety, a sense of welcome, and a sense of opportunity and promise. And so I think our students feel that when they come to our campus, and they experience it when they join us. Why students choose this campus is the sense and feel, and also the opportunity and the promise of that opportunity for them when they're making the decision. And why they stay is that we deliver on that promise. We have students from urban environments, from rural environments, and when they come to Keene State in those first weeks of forming a new community, they bring all of those experiences together to create a better Keene State. It's a campus small enough to feel a sense of recognition and identity, and a campus big enough to feel part of something bigger than yourself. This isn't a passive experience, so please get engaged, find a club, make a new group of friends, get involved in a recreational sport activity, in an intramural sport, get involved in a creative performance, go see a show, be a part of this community and squeeze everything you can out of Keene State. And if you do that, I am confident you will have an exceptional experience and your life will be changed as a result of it.
enjoying their dinner. But in the essence of time, we would like to bring the group back together and start the program. I know it's fun to mix and mingle and get up from your table, but I'd like to ask you to return your tables so we can start the next part of our program. Okay, so we're going to get back underway here, and the first portion of our Hall of Fame induction this evening is the Little East Conference Hall of Fame. And this year actually marks the 25th year that Keene State College has been a member of the Little East Conference. It's been a tremendously successful 25 years for the college and for the conference. And they're great partners to work with. All the other 8 schools in the league, plus the affiliate members, and the staff, Commissioner Samuelson, who's unable to join us, and Associate Commissioner Darryl Kadicki, who is with us tonight, do a great job. So thank you, Darryl. This evening also marks the Little East Conference Hall of Fame was initiated in 2012. So it's been a pretty short history of this event, and I know Darryl has some remarks regarding the conference and the Conference Hall of Fame. We do have 2 inductees this year, and both have actually had the privilege of meeting at their induction into the Keene State Athletics Hall of Fame. Brian Kolatz is a member of our track and field team who graduated in 2011. Lives in the state of Washington, has a really important job as a state trooper. Unable to join us this evening, but we are really pleased to have Matt Johnson, 2012, member of our men's lacrosse team here. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Darryl Kadicki, the Associate Commissioner of the Little East Conference.
Very much, Phil, and thanks for taking half of the lines I've got on the sheet of paper here in front of me. First and foremost, good evening, everyone. I want to thank President Bedwell, Phil Rasticott, for extending the invitation to be here this evening. My boss, Commissioner Samuelson, is at a family wedding. Her goddaughter's getting married out in Colorado, so of course, not with me this evening, sorry. I also want to congratulate all the Keene State College inductees who will be honoring shortly this evening. Everyone is a tremendously deserving individual. Congratulations on all of your accomplishments. It's a pleasure to be here this evening to share this moment with each of you. And also, quickly want to just acknowledge the work that Melinda and Phil do for the current Keene State College community here every single day. President Treadwell has been our President's Council Chair during one of the craziest times I think we can ever remember. I cannot imagine how we would have got through COVID without her. So, Melinda, thank you very much. As Phil mentioned, Keene State has had a tremendous 25-year run in the LEC so far. There's certainly more good years to come. The work that his team of coaches, administrators, trainers, athletic communications professionals do to dedicate their lives to the betterment of the athletic community here is truly spectacular. I cannot imagine how many Hall of Fame people will be coming out of this group and the groups to come. Phil mentioned some of what Phil mentioned. The LEC was founded in 1986, and since then we've seen tens of thousands of student athletes play under our banner. The LEC Hall of Fame wasn't established until just 10 years ago, and during that time we've only had, including the class of 2022, 104 individuals actually inducted into the LEC Hall of Fame so far. Think about those numbers for a second. Tens of thousands of student athletes
And beyond that, in a different stratosphere of community champions, there's David Westover. They say that a person's true passion for community is measured by the time that they give back to where they live. And if this is the case, then David is an unequivocal hero. Tonight, we honor you, David, class of 1972, for all he has done and continues to do to support Keene State College athletics
I often wonder what my life would have been like if that one person hadn't taken 5 minutes of his time to give me a suggestion. 5 minutes. And that was a life changer for me. Wow. So I transferred to Keene State College. So another individual whose name was Al Cohen was a member of Phi Mu Delta fraternity. And they had just chartered on campus. Unfortunately, they're not here anymore. But he approached me one day and he says, Dave, I'd like to have you consider joining our fraternity. And I ended up joining, and I got out of my shell. And during Greek Week, my junior year, there were some very competitive events amongst the fraternities, and I'll let you use your imagination for some of those. But I picked an event out of the hat, and it was sprinting from one end of Joyce Field to the other. And somehow I won. Big deal. Well, the next day, I get a knock on my door in the fraternity house from Bob Taft, who was the financial aid director back in the day, and also the head cross-country and track coach. Well, Dave, what did you do for events in high school? I'd really like to have you consider joining our track team. I said, I'm sorry, but you're wasting your time. I've never done track in high school. The only time I've ever been on a track is to do laps before gym class in high school. But he would not give up. And eventually, he talked me into competing in track my junior year, my first time ever of running track and field. And I guess I was fairly fast, relay teams, and I'm aging myself. The track was in yards back in the day. Now it's in meters. It's been that way for a long time. But we were pretty darn good in our 4x1 and 4x4 relay. And I never won an individual race until my very last race, my senior year. It wasn't called the LEC back in the day, but it was on the campus of UMass Dartmouth. And it rained and it poured, and apparently I was better in the bad weather than everybody else. That was the only race that I had ever won up to that point. So, wow. Bob Taft didn't have to come to my dorm room or my fraternity house, didn't have to stay with it. And what a game changer that was for me, because I'm sure every inductee here this evening will agree on one thing. All right, what you learned competing in your sport here, you didn't really appreciate until 1972 when I graduated. And long behold, here comes Bob Taft again. And he knew that I was struggling at that point to figure out what I was going to do. So he says, Dave, he says, I golf with a couple of vice presidents at the Peerless Insurance Company, which for many, many years was on Maple Avenue here in Keene. I'll put a good word in for you. So the short version of the long story is I ended up getting hired. I probably did not know how to spell insurance at the time, but it did me well. I spent 35 years in the insurance industry. And it was there that I met Cindy. I got asked to coach a softball team that Peerless had. And as Ron Butcher can attest, back in that day, almost everybody in this community played softball. There was almost 100 men's and women's softball teams. I mean, there was games going on all the time. And if my memory serves me half correct, my now wife Cindy was playing third base and I was running the bases, and I think I got a little too aggressive and tripped her up, but I'm not quite sure about that. But so we move ahead. And then a friend of mine, who I got to know at Peerless Insurance Company, approaches me one day, and he says, Dave, I would like to have you consider joining the Keene JCs. Well, what the heck is that? Well, it's kind of like the Junior Lions Club. We're a leadership training organization that we learn leadership skills through community service. And I think the sales part of the job that attracted my attention, he says, after we work hard on projects, we really party hard that night. So I joined, and that was a real game changer for me in terms of appreciating, the giving back and seeing, you know, the impact that you have, you know, as being part of something to help somebody else out. And that's how the Hopscotch Marathon came to be. So anyways, down the line, I had one of my agents that I represented at Peerless. I was an underwriter, which probably most of you don't know what that is, but that's okay. Asked if I would consider leaving there and going to work in an insurance agency, dealing directly with the public, just like all of you out there. And believe it or not, being the shy kid in high school, I had totally turned the boat there. I was very, very comfortable in sales and customer service, and to this day I have no problem going into a room full of strangers and coming out with common connections. And I owe so much of that to this institution and, you know, my ability to learn from my involvement with track and field. But at any rate, the owner of the agency, their motto or their mission statement back in the day was giving back to the community that we served. And he said to me, he says, Dave, just so you know, the reason why we're hiring you is partly because you know a little bit about insurance, but we're really impressed with your volunteer commitment to the community. So that's kind of carried forward. And back when I had the opportunity to get involved with our local United Way, I had the honor of being campaign chair one year. And the next year we became special events chair, and the campaign theme that year was giving it back, was putting it together the United Way. So those that know me fairly well know that I'm competitive in everything. Cards, doesn't make any difference what it was. And somehow we came up with this ridiculous idea of building the world's largest jigsaw puzzle. Now, if you can imagine constructing a puzzle in a room of this size, to start with, my artistic ability you can put in a thimble and still have room to swim, but I'm a good team player. We ended up getting donations of corrugated boxes, taped them together. Back in the day, there was a lot of paper companies around here. We had huge rolls of white paper that we literally became wallpapers, and there were bubbles everywhere, but eventually we got it done. And one of my proudest moments on this campus was when we brought all those puzzle pieces to this institution at Spalding Gymnasium, and that was really spearheaded by Dave Costin, who was a longtime professor here at the college. And to see the energy of those 300 plus students figure out a way to put together that massive puzzle, that was absolutely unbelievable. And the energy that came out of that just allowed for us to carry over into the community, and it was one of the fastest campaigns that we had had, and a real credit to the students at the time. And ironically, when I got on the alumni board, one of the new board members one year was one of those students that helped put that puzzle together, so that was pretty stinking cool. So just a couple other quick pieces. Unfortunately, my son Rob is not here this evening, but when he was in 7th grade, he came home one night and he says, I've got a lot of friends that would like to consider running middle school track. And unfortunately, the problem was we didn't have a middle school track program in our school district, which is just north of here. So I had been on the school board previously, so I kind of knew my way around. And I went and talked to the athletic director, Brian Pickering, who at one time was the assistant basketball coach here, back the year that they went to the Final Four and NCAA national championships. And Brian was like me. He was a thinker outside the box. We went to the school board, and they were kind and gracious to say, well, you can go at it, but we have no money to offer you. You can't have any meets. And that was pretty much the end of the discussion. Well, we didn't break any rules, but I can tell you that very first year we had 7 meets. We had no busing, but that was back in the time where school districts were a little more lenient in terms of carpooling. So that was the start of a 20-year journey for myself and 3 other assistant coaches. And over that period of time, in our little school district just north of here, we probably introduced track and field to over 500 students in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, many of which went on to compete in high school, a few that went on to compete at the collegiate level. And I'm really proud to tell you that 2 of those athletes, one is Sarah Miller. Sarah was a 3-time All-American here, 1 year in the 400, 1 year in the 800, and that's a very unusual mix, and 1 year in the distance medley relay. And for those of you who don't do track, I'll explain that to you later on. And the second is Crystal Blamey, who is at our table this evening. And she not only is a 2-time national champion in the high jump, but I had the honor of introducing her last year to the Keene State College Hall of Fame. Wow. So, one final piece of the puzzle, and I'll give the floor up to our other inductees this evening. So I've been around this campus a lot over the years. I've spent a lot of time with students on reviewing resumes and doing practice interviews, going to senior presentations, going to all the athletic teams as much as I can. And Paige Mills was hired as a new track and cross country coach, unfortunately, right about the time that the pandemic hit. And I went and introduced myself. Paige was a local lady, graduated from Keene High School, and ran here and was an All-American in her own right. And I got a call from her one day saying, "Dave, I need your help. Would you consider helping coach the sprinters on our track team?" So you can imagine the mindset of at least a few of the sprinters when I showed up at the first day of practice being a seasoned middle school track coach. What the heck do you know about coaching us at the collegiate level? Well, one thing to this day that I do for training for track is steer work. And typically I'll do 500 to 700 steers in an evening. So the first practice when I said, well, we're going to do some steer work today over to Spalding, and I did it with them, I think I gained their trust. Later on, Paige had an opportunity. She's one of these that, much like my daughter-in-law Heidi, that likes to run 100 miles a week for something to do. Regular marathons weren't long enough for her, so she had an opportunity to start a Northeast Division of ultra-marathon runners, and I got a call from Phil one day saying, well, indoor track season is starting. We need some help stepping in. What do you think? And fortunately, I was able to arm twist Crystal. Actually, that was part of my willingness to introduce her last year. I said, I'm only going to do this if you start giving back and coaching what you're so darn good at. Oakle Johnson, who is a longtime head of the math department here, is a marathoner. He was at the wrong place at the right time for me, and I convinced him to help out last winter. And Shannon Summers, who was a really good soccer player here, did some running at Keene High School. And the 4 of us somehow kept the train on the tracks last winter. And I'm most proud to say that when we went to the LEC conference meet, now without a track, we don't have the numbers because we just don't have, the capabilities of attracting some of the discipline events in track without having a facility to practice in. We put 21 on the bus to go to Southern Maine. Clearly not numbers enough to win the conference meet, but almost everybody on that bus came home with the season's best. That was pretty darn good. The only downside to where I'm going to end this story is they were revved on the way back on the bus. I didn't know one stinking song that they were playing on the bus. I'm a true country guy, so I appreciate your indulgence this evening. And my real challenge, particularly to my fellow inductees this evening, I know life is busy, but find some way to give back. Reach out to your coaches. Maybe you can mentor one of their student athletes. Maybe you can reach out to a potential high school senior and share your outstanding story at Keene State College, because at the end of the day, giving back is everything. Thank you very much.
Oh. Gosh, that's a heck of a way to start our induction ceremony for the Keene State Athletics Hall of Fame. You know, Dave wears that red blazer that Melinda mentioned. He wears it like his version of the Keene State Masters jacket, right? And he's so proud. It's just it's a joy to see and an honor to be here for that. I will definitely make sure that family and friends that I have in Pittsburgh give you a really, really warm welcome when you go to the national championship next June, right? And, obviously, I'm predicting that it's going to be Tom Hanks that plays Dave in the movie, right? And at the end, they're going to be doing laps around that track that he's been chasing for so long. So thanks again, Dave. So our next member of the Keene State College Athletics Hall of Fame is a women's lacrosse player who took the field for the Owls from 2008 to 2011, has pretty much rewritten so many of the records that to this day still stand. So Lauren Sawyer, an incredibly valued member of our women's lacrosse history and program, is here to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. And here to present her is something it pains me to say, but former head coach Katie Clark to bring Lauren into the Keene State College Athletics Hall of Fame. So if Katie could come up, I would appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. Glad Phil didn't take a lot of my stats because that would take half the speech. So first, I just want to say hello. My name's Katie Clark, and for those who don't know me, I coached the women's lacrosse program here from 2009 until this past August. I was happy to walk back into campus tonight, though, to induct Lauren Sawyer into the Owls Hall of Fame. So Lauren was brought to Keene State by the first Women's Lacrosse Hall of Fame inductee, Michelle Mason. So she was a sophomore when I began my head coaching career, and Lauren, along with a great class of talent, elevated the program's successes and set a high standard for future teams to follow. Lauren was the quarterback, and not just because of the plays all went through her, but because she helped create a new culture for the program of inclusiveness, humor, family, and lacrosse all rolled into one. And we're just going to jump right into the numbers, the stats. So Lauren was a 3-time Little East Conference champion, including the 2009 LEC tournament MVP. And she was a 1-time ECAC tournament champion. In regards to single season records, she still holds number 5 and 6 for points, as well as an impressive number 2, 3, 4, and 6 in assists. That last stat shows that it isn't just one great season that this is based off of. It is consistently performing and raising the bar each year. When looking at career records, she is number 1 in points with 307, but the best stat of all is she is still and probably will always be number 1 for career assists at 201, which is almost twice as many as the number 2 record. Lauren, yeah, that is good. Lauren came to Keene from Maine as a talented athlete excelling in basketball and lacrosse. She had a very special talent for seeing the play that would unfold before it even did. It's the kind of talent that you just can't teach, and I think every coach can understand that. Much like a quarterback, the offense began once she had the ball. She made great connections with many different players and had a great knack for being able to work with the style or ability of each individual. They didn't need to fit her mold to be able to succeed, but rather she was able to read them, let them play how they wanted to, and she would make that connection. Probably the most memorable was the 2009 tournament championship, where Lauren made a pass to Jill Kirk, a common occurrence, who scored to win us the first ever LEC championship in overtime versus Eastern Connecticut. It's a play in a game that anyone who's there will never ever forget. You can guarantee, though, that anytime Lauren was interviewed about a game, a play, or a record broken, that she gave credit to those catching the pass and finishing the job. There was always an ability to recognize those that were part of her successes. And I have learned in my years that we don't just recruit lacrosse athletes, but students, individuals, personalities, and families. Lauren was raised that all are welcome, and I think that is the biggest stand that she's made. Her mom, Barb, was a constant source of support, but the spotlight was always on Graham. No offense, Barb. Lauren's grandmother, known to everyone as Graham, was just about at every single game wearing the red. I wasn't going to get teary-eyed. But she was wearing the red Keene State Owls sweatshirt. She'd be here today for sure. She was cheering the team on, yelling at the refs, and ready to give everyone a big hug after the game. The entire team then had a Graham in their family, and that's what stuck to the program. Everyone is family. Everyone is welcome to be themselves, and we would all probably have a good laugh while doing it. I'm very proud to have that entire family as part of the Keene State Women's Lacrosse program, but I'm even more proud to induct Lauren Sawyer into the Owls Hall of Fame.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to thank Keene State College for accepting me. I take serious pride in the way that I was able to represent my school through athletics. I want to thank my coach, Katie Arsenault-Clark, who at the time was a young new coach that was able to direct our team in the right direction, resulting in the first Keene State Women's Lacrosse Championship titles. We certainly gave her a run for her money, but she continued to coach and went on to win 6 championships in 12 years. I want to thank my teammates. Without them, none of this would be possible. During my 4 years at Keene, I tallied 307 points, and 201 of them were assists, meaning I would not have any of these accolades without help. I want to thank my 3 top goal scorers, Jill Kirk, Jamie Albert, and Lauren Brown. The 3 of you made it so easy for me. We clicked immediately, and the chemistry was incredible. I want to thank my goalies, Jen, Megan, and Aaron. None of these titles would have been possible without the 3 of you. We won 2 LEC titles and 1 ECAC title together. The midfielders, Emily, Jamie, Jenny. Defenders, Shannon, Annie, Sarah, Missy, and there are so many others. After Keene, I became a wedding photographer. The bonds I created through Keene State are so special. I've shot several of my friends, teammates, and coaches' weddings. I will forever cherish the bonds that I have created with these amazing women. Debbie Henry, my high school lacrosse coach, who convinced me to try lacrosse in 8th grade, and therefore helped me find my passion. Without her, I would not have pursued my dream of playing lacrosse in college. I want to thank her for helping me turn my dream into a reality. I want to thank my mother and late grandmother, as Katie just noticed, who attended literally every single game, home or away, for 4 straight years. And my dad, my aunts, my cousins, who attended so many games. The support I received was incredible and so appreciated. It was so refreshing to look up in the stands and always have someone there supporting me while I was playing. Lastly, I want to congratulate the other inductees. It is an honor to share this stage with you all today. Congratulations and thank you.
So, as we move along, we will be introducing the next member of our Keene State College Athletics Hall of Fame, who accomplished, obviously all of these people accomplished great things. This next inductee accomplished no small feat by starring both in soccer and softball. 2-sport athlete, really tough to do, did it well, and representing Keene State College at the highest possible level from 2007 to 2012, and she will be presented by her brother, Greg Bradford, who will induct Katie Bradford to the Keene State College Athletics Hall of Fame.
Thank you. It's about time. I'm Greg Bradford. I'm president of Alpha Pi Tau fraternity here on campus and graduate 09. And I'm one of Katie's older brothers. We grew up in Lebanon, New Hampshire, a little bit north of here, and Katie dominated the fields and ice rinks around New England and especially New Hampshire growing up. And what's even more impressive is that she did it on boys' teams. In Lebanon, we didn't have youth softball teams, so she played boys' baseball. And she also played boys' ice hockey. And that gave way to one of the famous quotes that we have in our family, which is one day at a ice hockey mites game, Katie looked around the locker room and all the boys getting dressed and said to our dad, "Wait, stop. What about my cup? Where's my cup?" Katie still holds a lot of records at Lebanon, and after Lebanon High School, she went on to a short stop at a prep school, and then followed me here to Keene State College, and yeah, it was one of the best things that Keene State College ever did because she went on to become one of the best multi-sport athletes this college has ever seen. I'm not going to take the time to read all of her accolades because we will be here all night. But at the end of the day, her teams went on to won five ECAC New England championships altogether, both soccer and softball. And when Katie stepped on the field, whether it be softball or soccer, there was a good chance there was going to be an awesome play made. With her long strides, she was going to break away and score a goal on the soccer pitch, or she was going to hit a home run, or she was going to make an awesome defensive play, diving defensive play on the softball field. It made the Keene State Athletics between 2008 to 2012 must-see competition. Personally, I thought it was better than watching the men's teams here during that time. And I tried to get to as many games as I could. What's even more impressive is if Keene State College had had a women's ice hockey team at the time, she would have been a three-sport athlete, and she would have been inducted for three sports because ice hockey was her best sport. So after college, she went on to get her postgraduate degree at Amherst, and then now leads the nutrition center at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center, one of the biggest hospitals in New England and one of the biggest employers in New Hampshire. And that's a heck of a challenge. Hundreds of employees reporting to her. But she never backs down from a challenge. That's who Katie is. She steps up and meets those challenges, whether it's at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center today, whether it's the opponents on the field at Keene State College, or more recently, a drunk Penn State fan at one of our Rutgers games. But what I really want to say is that this college is lucky to have her. This Hall of Fame is lucky to have her and this family is lucky to have her. I hope my daughter grows up to be just like her. Thank you.
All right. Although I do have a long list of accolades, public speaking is not one of them, so I'll keep this short. In high school, none of our teachers believed that we were related. It's weird. The resemblance is uncanny, don't you think? First, I'd like to congratulate all the other inductees, rather. It's an honor to share this night with you, and I've been looking forward to this for a long time, so congratulations to you guys. I'd like to thank my teammates and my friends, my family, particularly my parents who have supported me my whole life on and off the field. And just like Graham, they were there at almost every game, so we should compare notes after and see who was at the most games. But I got 2 sports, so I think I got Graham beat on that one. But the outpouring of support tonight has been unbelievable and overwhelming, and I love each and every one of you people who are here tonight in support of me, so thank you so much for being here. And Dave, I got to get in touch with your tailor. I need one of those red jackets, and Daryl, I got to get in touch with you and your jeweler. I need one of those rings, so thank you so much. Thank you all.
Congratulations again. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great night. Wouldn't be the first time I've been asked to step away from a photo, so I totally get that. So it's a great moment. Siblings up here to celebrate a terrific honor. So next on our list of inductees is a record-setting striker from the soccer team from 2001 to 2004. Up until this week, when our team scored 10 goals in 2 games, I'm pretty sure Coach Schmidt and Coach Karen would like to welcome this guy back to the team this week. So being inducted by his Keene State College teammate, Kyle Wood, our next inductee is Jason Lombardo.
Thank you. I am truly honored to introduce Jason Lombardo this evening. For most of you who don't know me, I'm Kyle Wood, and I played with Jay 3 out of his 4 years at Keene State. And also had the pleasure of being his roommate, and I'll get into that experience in a little bit. However, I think it's important to start this introduction with some of his accolades before I tell you how strange and complex he is as a person. If you read his profile when the 2022 class was announced, or if you read it here, you would see some impressive stats. In 4 seasons, he had 58 goals, which is 3rd of all time, and only 5 away from the record. His 22 assists ranks him 9th of all time, but Jay would tell you he'd have 50 more if Casey Banks scored on the passes that came from him. And Casey's here tonight, so that's good. Casey is ahead of him by 5 assists all time, so he's 5th of all time, so it might have been, a strategy to stay in that category. Jason's 138 career points is third of all time. He also holds the fourth highest single season point total of 18 goals, 10 assists for 46 points in 2003. He was Little East Conference Rookie of the Year, Little East Tournament Most Outstanding Player, and first team All LEC as a freshman, sophomore, and junior, and was LEC Offensive Player of the Year in 2003. So I first met Lombardo from Woburn when I was a freshman, and he was this legend returning as a sophomore. His physique was lean, a bit wiry, but he was strong. And my initial impression was that he was confident, but not necessarily cocky. Notice I said my initial impression. He also had this beautifully groomed, neat, thin chin strap, earrings, gold necklace, a few tattoos, not sure what they meant, but you get the picture. He was a handsome punk, but at the same time, he had a look and demeanor like someone who doesn't really take any crap. Anyways, I kept hearing about how fast he was and how remarkable his first season was, and it was getting annoying. At this level, most of us were the fastest, or one of the fastest growing up, so when I kept hearing about his speed, I assumed I was probably just as fast. Even when I saw him score the first goal of the season, I remember thinking, whoa, he can really get in the second gear pretty quick, but he runs so strange. His knees slightly buckled inward, while his toes slightly turned out, and his arms flailed up and about. If you look at the picture, you can see what I'm talking about. So as strange as it looked, I really couldn't deny his awkward-looking raptor speed. Then at practice one day, Butch lined us up at the end line. He said, if Lombardo beats us, we have to keep doing sprints. But if one of us beats him, only he has to. He started Lombardo 5 or 7 yards behind us, which if you think about a full field race, that's a ridiculous head start. I honestly thought it was silly. It was in this moment I was truly humbled. He won. I watched that freak run by us in slow motion and thought to myself, that is the fastest player I ever saw. His speed, on top of having a nose for the goal, was especially impressive in big moments, always in big moments. He was a true competitor. But listening to him and Butch argue was also epic. I listened to it earlier tonight. It's fantastic. He was the only one who could really get away with poking fun at Butch. Even when Butch wanted to kill him, he could not fully hide how amused he actually was with him. And Rick would always balance them out, but it was true entertainment. And now I'll quickly get into the roommate part. As entertaining as he was to play with, multiply this by 1,000, and that's what it was like to live with him. Just to give you a glimpse, my first day of being his roommate, I'm watching TV, and Jay tells me he's going to shower. When he returns, he walks by the TV, soaking wet, butt naked with no towel. As he strolls by, moving like Conor McGregor's strut after winning a UFC fight, he utters, "I air dry," in his thick Boston accent. I can confidently say he is one of the funniest characters I have ever met in my life. He is truly one of a kind, and if you know him, you know exactly what I'm talking about. On a personal note, I think it's important to share a little bit about who he is as a friend. Jay is someone who always has your back no matter what, and as warped as he is, he's also genuine. About 4 years ago, I lost my dad to a long, difficult battle with cancer. It was and still is the hardest experience I ever went through. My father got a kick out of Jay. When my dad would visit Keene, or if Jay was visiting me in Connecticut, I would hear my father laughing in the other room from his outlandish sense of humor. The day he passed away, Jay drove a few hours to check on me. I was at my dad's place, and we had family and friends from home visiting, but when he arrived, he did something for me that I won't forget. Although it was brief, for a short while, I forgot how much pain I was in, and he is one of the only few people who could do that. That's just who he is. In closing, I'd like to say a few words that I feel are important for Jason to hear on this day. I know that being recognized in the Hall of Fame is a big deal, but I also know you continue to think, what if? All those accomplishments I mentioned earlier, I left out the fact that his last 2 seasons, he was really playing on one leg. He battled some injuries, and for much of those last 2 seasons, he had a severe hamstring problem. I know that he was bothered by this and bothered by not breaking more records because he was not healthy. So Jay, instead of thinking what if, I want you to think of how impressive it is to be inducted into the Hall of Fame despite those injuries. Think of how much harder those goals and assists were to earn when you were not even close to 100%. Think of how proud your family is here sitting next to you. think of the example it sets. And if that doesn't work, just think of Butch screaming at you and you'll stop thinking about it altogether. And if that doesn't work, think of Rick and Butch air drying next to you after a hot shower. In all seriousness, I am so proud to introduce my teammate, my brother, Jason Lombardo, into the 2022 Keene State College Hall of Fame. I love you.
Realized I left my speech on the table. Perfect. Thank you, Kyle. No, it's okay. You can go sit down. You've done enough. You know, Kyle is one of my close friends, and you know, he's like a brother to me. You know, he was a great teammate, great friend. Drove all the way up here from Connecticut today, and I appreciate you, Kyle. Thank you for saying all those things. That was sweet. And I know your father will be proud of you too, okay? I want to thank my coaches. Rick and Butch, you two were a huge part of my success here. You know, Butch was an interesting character. You know, we butted heads a lot, but at the same time, I really respected the guy. You know, he's kind of the coach that I needed at that point in my life. He's a no BS kind of guy, and you know, I appreciated that in a weird way. You know, so thank you, Butch, for always supporting me and being there for me, even today. Rick, my assistant coach, can't make it here today, but he was somebody too that was, you know, a very well-balanced coach. You know, he when he needed to get in your face, he would, but brought a lot of joy and love to the game as well too. He's very passionate about soccer, like the rest of us. So, you know, I want to thank Rick, even though he's not here today. Thank my teammates. Trill, you were right. I wouldn't be here without you and the other guys. You know, it's a good point. Soccer's it's a team sport. It's not an individual sport. So, my teammates that are here today, I want to thank you guys so much for coming out and supporting me. Banksy, you know, you were like Batman and Robin together with both of us, right? I mean, you were a big part of my success, and I really do appreciate you being here today and appreciate all you did for me over the years, too. Our freshman class, I mean, all these guys came in with me freshman year, and I think we had about 7 starters. And, you know, we won 3 LEC championships at the end of the year. I think we were ranked 7th in the country. So, you know, we had a lot of success together. All of us, so, you know, all the guys are here today, so I want to thank you guys. Hockey, too, Maddie, Kyle, unfortunately, I got to thank you, I guess, and Casey, so I didn't leave anybody out, Maddie. So thank you to my teammates. I want to thank my family and my friends for being here today. Again, thank you guys for coming out and supporting me, not just today, but all those years. You know, my friends from home, you know, coming out and supporting me in high school and, you know, supporting me in college. My 2 daughters, John and Olivia, I love you guys. Thank you for being here today. I know you didn't want to wear your dresses, but you girls look beautiful. So thank you for being here and being supportive. I got to thank my wife, who was a massive supporter of mine, you know, while I was here. She was my #1 cheerleader. She's probably as important to me in my success as any of my teammates. You know, when things got stressful or became difficult, she kind of kept me grounded and always supported me. And, you know, to think that was, I hate to say this, like 15, 20 years ago, to think how supportive she was back then and how supportive she is today, I don't know if I would have stayed all 4 years in Keene, if I'm being honest. Sorry, Butch, just me and Earl. So, you know, Kelly kind of kept me here and you know, helped me be successful. So, you know, I thank everybody for being here today and being supportive of me, and I appreciate all you, and thank you so much.
Congratulations. If we could have Kyle come back up, let's get a nice photo. these two. Get the roommates together, please. I like being cut out. And just one more second, guys. I am going to break protocol just briefly, quickly. Anyone who knows me knows that I kind of like to challenge the process a little bit. I would like to call up Hall of Famer in his own right, Dr. Ron Butcher, for another photo op with these two gentlemen. So when Jason was nominated, and the concept of Ron doing the presentation was sort of like, oh boy, that'd be great, but we'll be here a really, really long time. And so I said, if that happens, for every minute over 5, we're going to take a letter off the name on the sign that is Dr. Ron Butcherfield. But we're really happy that everyone's here to join us for that. So, oh gosh, as we continue. So our next inductee is a outstanding member of the swim team here at Keene State. Drew Ledwith is not once, not twice, but a 10-time All-American in the sport of swimming, who competed here for up until 2014. So a tremendous list of accomplishments that I'm not going to take away from his presenter, who is former head coach and current assistant coach, Jack Fabian. So if Jack, you could come up and join us.
Well, I want to thank Chris Woolrich, the current head coach of the men's and women's swim team, and a very good friend of mine, for offering me the opportunity to present Drew Ledwith for induction into the Hall of Fame. For those of you that don't know me, I was the head coach at Keene from 2006 and 2015, and I coached Drew during his 4 years as an Owl from 2010 to 2014. I always thought it was important for athletes and teams to have a vision along with their goals. Goals, in my opinion, are specific targets that we have along our way to achieving a vision. Some of the goals in swimming, for example, are winning dual meets, being a captain, having your team become conference champion. But the vision that I presented to recruits and members of my team was that I believe that we could be a nationally ranked Division III program and have swimmers that were NCAA All-Americans. And then I thought, if we did that, we actually might get some swimmers into the Hall of Fame at Keene State. And I'm happy to see that Drew is completing that vision for the team and for himself tonight. Qualifying and scoring at the NCAA championships is a huge challenge. Back in 2010, we hadn't had a male swimmer with an All-American finish, which is top 8, since 1976. However, Drew has never shied away from challenges. So out of 273 Division III schools and 4,000 men that compete in swimming, Drew was one of 200 swimmers in the country that qualified for the Division III championships. Not only that, but he qualified for that meet all 4 years and then was an All-American in multiple events for all 4 years. But wait, it gets better. In Drew's senior year, in 2014, he and 6 other teammates that also qualified for NCAAs placed 9th in the country at NCAA championships in Indianapolis. Furthermore, they were only 4 points behind the 8th place team, Williams, and they were the highest ranked public Division III college in the country that year. So let's just take a moment to recognize how special it is for a swimmer like Drew, who was grew up in Keene, and to come to Keene State and then placed consistently in the top 2 nationally in his events and be a member of a team that placed 9th at the NCAA championships. Drew made his mark as a distance swimmer, competing in 2 of the longest events for pool swimming, the 500 free and the 1650 free. We were working with Drew to help him try to beat a very talented swimmer at Denison University named Alan Week. Alan was a national record holder in Drew's events, and he was a 2-time champion in the 500 and a 4-time champion in the 1650. It was a battle each year at NCAA's between Drew and Alan. But what the neat thing about it was that Drew and Alan were actually good friends and on deck, and I really respected to see, as all year long he targeted this kid, but yet they hung out and were good friends on deck. In our preparation, we worked Drew very hard and his training partners very hard, and they swam a lot. And one time, for example, a sports information reporter from Keene State was waiting on deck for about 2 hours for Drew to finish his practice. And after the practice, he came up to Drew and he asked him, "What do you think about during those long sets?" And I thought Drew's reply was wonderful and says a lot about him. He said, I just try to think about things that make me happy. From the first day that he walked on deck for practice at Keene State until his last competition wearing the Keene State cap, Drew brought a sense of honor and pride to the program. I was so happy that Drew decided to attend Keene State. Part of his attraction may have been that his Aunt Nancy, who is here tonight, was an alumna. And not only that, but she was a swimmer and a college record holder in the 800 free relay. As I look back now on my coaching at Keene State, I'm so proud to be able to say that I coached Drew. And today, ladies and gentlemen, with affection and with a special sense of pride, there's no place that I would rather be than right here, right now, because I am honored to present to you on this day of his induction into the Keene State Hall of Fame, Drew Ledwith.
Thank you, and congratulations to all the other inductees. I do appreciate the choice of pictures, and I'm not standing there in a Speedo, so thank you for that. I would like to spend a few minutes just thanking the people that helped me really achieve these athletic successes. Not only that, but just help me to become the person that I am today. And first and foremost, that's my mom and dad. Your love, support, just dedication, putting your lives aside to just do whatever you could to help me be the most successful person that I could be. Whether that be driving me to baseball practices in Nashua an hour and a half every night, or when I shifted my focus to swimming, and I had 5 a.m. practices, we're up at 4:30 every morning, they were driving me to the pool. And that leads into the next person I'd like to thank, Jack Fabian, the person responsible for me waking up at 4:30 a.m. from my junior year of high school, just about every day through my senior year in college. So thank you for that, Jack. I appreciate that. But on a serious note, there's probably 1 or 2 people that you meet in your life that really shape you into the person you are today. And Jack Fabian is one of those. I can honestly say I would not be where I am today athletically, put all that aside, just creating the opportunities for me to go on, get my master's degree, coach the swim team there, create relationships there, and kind of just move on professionally. And I'll never be able to thank you enough, Jack. Thank you very much. And then lastly, just I want to thank the rest of my friends and family, the city of Keene, really, who supported me and encouraged me throughout both high school and college. Just thank you, and thank you all for being here tonight.
So that was definitely it's been a great journey to this point, and we have one final inductee for the 2022 Keene State College Athletics Hall of Fame. So from the field hockey program, historically great field hockey program, I'm privileged to bring Nichole Dallas into the Keene State College Hall of Fame, and she is certainly, well, among many other things, she is the first ever first-team All-American in school history, right? So that just says, to me, everything you need to know. Coming up to the stage to present this honor will be Coach Amy Watson, as well as Nichole's sister, Erin Dallas Page, who is a member of the Keene State College Athletics Hall of Fame and the LEC Hall of Fame. So come on up.
Wow, everybody's notes are up here still. All right, I have to be honest with you. When I got the lineup of how this evening was going to go, and I saw that I was dead last, and I saw the people in front of me, I had this vision of like people mopping the floors in the back and folding up the chairs, putting them on the table. But it's a lot earlier than I thought, so that's good. That's good. So Erin and I are up here tonight to present the final inductee, Nichole Dallas. She played field hockey at Keene State from 2000 to 2003. She had 27 goals, 27 assists, was a 3-time first-team All-LEC player. She was the first LEC Defensive Player of the Year, and I'm completely convinced they invented that award because that's who she was. As mentioned before, she was the first Keene State field hockey player to ever be named first-team All-American. She wore number 20, and no field hockey player has ever worn that uniform again. In my tenure as coach, I've made it a tradition that if you earn first-team All-American, I'll retire your number. So on to Nichole, who we never called Nichole. Let's be honest about that. She was Dallas, just Dallas. She was the backbone of her team during her career. As early as her freshman year, she made huge contributions. She played with the confidence and power of a seasoned upperclassman. She was that player whose name just equaled Keene State field hockey. Starting in her second year, opposing coaches and players just assumed she must certainly be a senior. For several years in a row, I heard, "You still have Dallas? Isn't she done yet?" She was a defender. She was our rock. She was capable of stifling our opponent's offense and then initiating our team's attack. She had the explosive speed and elimination moves of a football player running for a touchdown. I always imagined she got these moves from her brother, who actually was a football player at the time. She really did have all the juke moves and cuts of a slippery running back. An interesting thing about Dallas was that her dominance and presence on the field was so much larger than her persona off the field. I wouldn't go as far as to call her quiet, but she was calm and mild-mannered off the field. She was humble around her teammates. Dallas played so hard every game, I'm not sure if we actually really subbed her, and if we did, it wasn't for long. I can remember one day showing up at practice, and her team was warming up, and Dallas was kind of sitting on the sideline. I'm like, oh no, what's the matter? Are you sick? Are you hurt? And she looked at me, and she thought she would just sit this one out and watch. She needed a day off, and it took me totally by surprise. But in reality, it was likely she probably needed a rest. In this room, there's only a few people who have actually seen Dallas play, but I'll give you a recap of what it really felt like. There would be two teams on the field playing back and forth, typically in an evenly matched scenario, and then all of a sudden Dallas would get involved. When she did, it was like time momentarily stopped. She would stealthily take the ball away and then just downshift into this crazy beast mode. She would literally dodge opponents like cones, and her teammates knew to move and let her get out of the way. My favorite memory of this type of a play was a game we played at Trinity College. You remember this one? Yeah. And I actually have video footage of this moment, so it's one of my all-time favorites. The game went into overtime, and overtime in field hockey is a 7v7 sudden death. Dallas, of course, was on the field, as well as a teammate of hers, Tanya Strong, who at the time was our most dominant offensive player. Trinity was a way better team than we were, but we somehow managed to force the OT. They also dominated 7v7 until that moment. I remember it clear as day. Dallas came up with the ball in the defensive circle and she busted out. Time like froze. She came out of the circle. She started to drive up the field. She had one hand on her stick and pointed to Tanya and yelled, "Go!" So Tanya ran as fast as she could, her little legs. It really was a cartoon character kind of thing. As fast as her legs could go, Dallas took the ball. She weaved around all the defenders. She pulled the goalie out, and all she did was feed the ball to Tanya, and it bounced out her stick and went in the net. So we stormed the field in celebration. Trinity barely knew what hit her. Again, we had no business being on the field with them at that time, but we managed to win that game. And it was really all because of Dallas in that play. Keene State has seen some great field hockey players in my time here, but there's really something special to me about Nichole Dallas. She was my first All-American, and she absolutely set the bar for what that honor embodies. And I'm going to let her sister and my assistant coach, Erin Dallas, jump in for a second.
Go to the shorter one. So growing up with Nichole and the great athlete that she was nothing short of an inspiration. Being able to watch Nichole on the field playing with such dominance and authority taught me about the strength that it needed to succeed. Nichole could take the ball, as Coach just said, from one end of the field to the other end of the field with such skill that it showed just how much talent she has and what it takes to be a Hall of Famer. Being able to watch and learn through her skills was a blessing, and I am thankful for that.
And in closing, I just wanted to read a few statements, mostly to Nichole, but you'll hear them, from her teammates. Dallas was an incredible teammate on and off the field. She was the glue that held our defense together. And when she took off with the ball, there was no one stopping her. I honestly have never seen someone with as much power move so fast from one end of the field to the other. She was always ready to play and to work. I'm so honored to have played with her. Sue Kohler. She was so strong, I was terrified to fly when she was taking the corner in practice. A person would never know from her field presence that she is one of the kindest and most humble athletes of our time. She always showed up as her 100% authentic self. She never complained. She played for the love of the game. Justina Wentworth. She was one of the most consistent and dependable players I've ever played with. She was a force to be reckoned with. I have so many memories of us scoring on corners. I would hit the ball out, Carly would stop it, and then Dallas would smack it in the net. I don't think anyone on either team ever saw that ball go so fast and so hard. You just waited to hear the bang in the back of my net. Dallas was one of a kind and a very talented athlete. I'm glad I got to play my college years with her. Tanya Strong. I would say my strongest memory of Dallas when I think of her is absolute fear. Fear of that hit. No one wanted to be in the way. We didn't want to go up against her in practice, but of course, we were very glad she was on our team at the end. Caitlin Henley. She was notorious for parting the seas. When she got the ball, she took it effortlessly from end line to end line. The path was created. She was so strong and dominant, we used to call her the freight train in the fondest of ways. She could just never be stopped. Congratulations to Dallas on a well-deserved honor. Carly Sweeney. So, in closing, I'd like to thank Nichole for her part in giving me some of my fondest field hockey memories. You're a special player, and we had one hell of a team back then. Please join me in welcoming Nichole Dallas to the Keene State Athletics Hall of Fame. Athletics. Athletics. Dal original.
Dal original. Thanks.
Oh, do I get that?
So I prepared a couple of words. Congratulations to everybody else who was nominated and now inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's definitely something that I was never really expecting to get. I'd like to thank my parents for everything they've done, all the sacrifices they've made, all the effort they've put into putting us into the camps, and not just me, but Aaron and Phil, all the effort they've put into all of us to let us better our skills and our passions. I know Amy and clearly the rest of the team is very thankful for the drive that I got out of those camps. Thank you for the team. Like, I couldn't be up here without you, without the support from them during the games, during the seasons, the memories we got. And that's all I really have. So thank you all, and have a good night.
Me with the sisters?
Goodness. Can't think of a better way to close this out than with family. Family on the stage, actual siblings. We've seen a lot of that tonight, but really and truly, this whole endeavor is about family. And it's really important not to overlook that. So, it's been a special privilege to share this stage and this evening with such an accomplished group. They represented Keene State so well, and I know that they will continue to do so. This is how I knew it was going to be a terrific night. I think Dave Westover mentioned this early in the week. We actually went 4-0 against Plymouth State, which is kind of a big deal for us. And that's really, so that just gave us the right amount of energy to carry us to tonight. And tonight gives us enough energy to carry us through the weekend and through the rest of the season. So I appreciate all the energy that this group has given us. As been mentioned earlier, we have a long list of events this weekend, kicking off tomorrow morning with the Keene State College cross-country invitational, and we have an LEC men's soccer game, and we have a 25th reunion for men's lacrosse, and alumni functions for baseball and softball, and all of our other teams out there on the road representing Keene State this weekend, including our brand new golf team, which has just been great to see. Something else that's new, so any of you folks that are on campus tomorrow, if you want to stop by the Spalding Gymnasium, we have a really, really cool, state-of-the-art, digital touchscreen Hall of Fame display that was installed just in time for this weekend. And when I say just in time, I mean like yesterday. So it's not totally framed out the way we want it to be. It's super as it is. It's going to look great. But anyone who's on campus tomorrow, please come by, because that's just one next step that we can take to honor the greatness that is this group and the Keene State Athletics College Hall of Fame. So, I've had a lot of tough jobs in my life, and one of the tough ones is to try to close out or wrap up an event like this that's been so special. And so I'm really not even going to try. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring up to the stage right now all of the members that we have just inducted into the 2022 Hall of Fame class. So please come on up. Yes, you can. We are going to ask this group to stick around to take some group photos, any other photos that you'd like to have, we'll do that. Anyone who wants to challenge Dave Westover to a stare contest, this would be the time. But for our video that we will be able to add at some point to our Hall of Fame digital display, I'd like for this group, on the count of 3, to give us your best Go Owls, right? So 1, 2, 3.
Let's go Owls!
Awesome. Thank you very much again for a wonderful evening. Thanks to all of our staff and the Chartwells group and all the work that's been done here to create this event, and to Abe and to Andrea, countless hours put in. All of our campus administration that has been here, all the coaches, the staff. Thanks again. Be safe, and go Owls.
You have been watching a Keene State Athletics broadcast on the Owls Media Network. Please tune in to our next broadcast, and thank you for watching.